Good day, welcome back into studio. If you've not seen our Office 365 introduction with Damien, you better get going on it and understand that module. It will give such great perspective for what we're about to go into now, which is startup versus scale up for Office 365. Damien, welcome back in studio.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here. General quick introduction for those who've not seen any of the others.
So for those not seen, my name is Damien. I'm part of the Office product team locally here at Microsoft South Africa. And I've been around and been with Microsoft for quite some time now, 4 years at Microsoft, but quite a journey before then, starting off in distribution, being the product manager for Microsoft and some other products. Then I joined one of the large LSPs in South Africa, joining them as an account manager, dealing with SMEs in that Microsoft region and getting the Microsoft products out there. And then 4 years ago, as I said, I joined Microsoft, as a resource at Office 365 a specialist, and then I joined recently as a product manager as well.
Fabulous. The good news about that introduction is that I know as SMEs we are really painful sometimes. I get that because we think we know everything and we know very little, and Damien has worked extensively with SMEs. That's why it's a pleasure to have him in studio, and I can really I feel free to just ask questions as they come up. So thanks for that, Damien. We're going to be talking about startup versus scale up in this Office 365 session. And for the SMEs, you want to listen particularly to the startup point if you have some of the following characteristics. You're thinking about a business or you've just started a business. You have maybe one employee, but probably not yet. You are probably working an 18-hour day all by yourself without people in the business. You maybe have that one employee who also works an 18-hour day, and you're not making money yet. So you may be making a bit of turnover. There's money flowing in, but it's covering costs, not yet profit. Those are the startups. And then the scale-ups are those you have 5 employees or more. In fact, you may even have up to 10 or more. You're actually starting to see profits coming through, not just making revenue that goes out. You can actually pay the tax man ahead of time. You can actually pay your bills and have a little bit left in the kitty. That's sort of the scale-up definition of what we have. And you are looking at exponential growth. You are looking at expanding your business. You have more customers than what you can deal with at the moment. That's sort of the two different definitions. Okay. So for that, Damien, can we start with startup? I mean, absolutely. Some of the startup characteristics like lower startup costs, they want to simplify IT management, etc. Talk to us about that.
So what we find with a business that is just starting out is, if we go backtrack just very slightly,
of course.
And I think about we as Microsoft, and we talk to businesses about Office 365, we generally get put in 2 buckets. One, it's only for startups, and it's only for little small businesses, and me as my big enterprise of 100 or 200 people, it's not for me, and I have to run my own servers and all that wonderful stuff. Or we get put into the bucket of, hey, you're only for the big companies, the big enterprises, the over 1,000 people and all that wonderful stuff. And what we've found really with Office 365 is we do exceptionally well in both areas.
Wow.
And when we think about startups and the characteristics of why cloud services exist, it's because businesses that don't focus on those technologies shouldn't have to, right?
Yes.
As Microsoft, my business...
Sorry, I want to pause you. Businesses who don't focus on that technology shouldn't have to. That is profound. For SMEs, no, honestly, for SMEs where you feel you're not focusing on that, you shouldn't have to. Continue.
I just think that's, if we think about what my business does as Microsoft, 1980 odd, we came out with Office, and we then brought up Microsoft Mail and all these wonderful services. My history and heritage around delivering business productivity and services, and we've scaled into wonderful areas.
Yes.
If your business is not around those areas, if you're not there delivering emails as a service to someone else, but I am, let me do that for you. Right?
Love that.
If you want to go out and buy 4 terabyte hard drives from a retailer or whatever, fine. But if you can use my 1 terabyte in OneDrive, let me do that for you.
Of course.
My ability to deliver at scale is something that we pride ourselves on, right? We're one of only 3 hyperscale cloud vendors in the world. We're across 34 different regions in the world. My services have the ability to deliver things like email, storage, all these wonderful things for pretty much next to nothing because of that scale that we have. Simplifying IT is something that everyone wants to do, right? If you think about a small business, we think about things like, I need to get a domain. Everyone tells me I can't be Damien at Outlook.com.
That's right.
I need to be info or sales at damians.whatever.co.za.
That's right.
And so Office 365 gives us the ability to do that without having to go spend a lot of money on these servers and hardware and all this wonderful stuff. But with a couple of clicks, we're up and running, we have everything deployed.
Yeah.
Most importantly, as a business, I can then focus on what's important for me. Driving sales, getting customers, and doing all that wonderful stuff, knowing that my services are being delivered elsewhere.
I've never thought of it that way, Damien. So let Microsoft take care of what they're good at, whilst I can run my small little business and not stress about all of those things that I don't do.
That's the conversation I like to have.
Yes. Anytime, anywhere access.
Well, when we think about traditional IT, we think about that server in the corner that, you know, I have to be at my desk, I have to be plugged into the network cable, and then I can access it.
Yes.
And then, you know, if you're lucky and you're 5 or 6 people in the business, you have that wonderful Z drive that people talk about. You know, that thing that's in my computer, you click on it and magic files appear and you're thinking, where are these? When they're right here, because when you go home, you can't access them.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, I needed to do some work.
Exactly.
With a service like Office 365, because of where it's based in our data centers, in theory, all you need is an internet connection, right? I can be on my 3G, I can be on my phone, I can be on any device that I'm connected to the internet, and I can have access to all my content, my emails, my OneDrive, my Skype for Business, whatever it is. I have internet, I'm connected, which means I'm not limited to where I can work or how I can work.
That is absolutely fantastic, because very often as a small business, when you start up, you are, there's a sense of overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by looking professional. I'm overwhelmed by having to show the customer that I've got everything intact. I'm overwhelmed by the fact that I should be able to get everything anywhere, anytime. Yeah. And I think what you're saying is that actually it's not that complicated.
It shouldn't have to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's possible. Okay, so Office on every device.
So this is an important one for us. About 2 years back, we took the decision that we wanted to make sure that things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, those things that you're creating everything in, you might be creating your invoices in Excel, you might be creating your proposals in Word or your presentations in PowerPoint.
Yeah.
But then you might choose to use a device that previously we weren't supporting. Maybe you have an Android phone, maybe you have an iPad. And what we were finding out is that we wanted to ensure that you could still have that best experience.
Yeah.
And so with Office 365, we enable you with multiple copies of Office with that one subscription. In my last video, we talked about 5 PCs and Macs, 5 mobile phones, and 5 tablets.
Yes.
Which means that I can work at home and create that Excel spreadsheet of my invoice. I can get to the customer, whip out my iPad, work an extra 4 hours, add it to my invoice, and email it right off without having to go back to my laptop, make those changes. Yes. Which, to me, if I think about what my role inside of this business is, my role is to make businesses more productive.
Yes. Exactly.
If I can update my invoices on the go, if I can change everything I need to on the fly, I'm doing part of my job.
That is absolutely fabulous. So, so any device, so brand agnostic.
Brand agnostic. I support iOS, I support Android, I support Windows, I support Mac. Awesome. The one you would have missed there is BlackBerry. Yes. But BlackBerry have got some Android devices out, and I can certainly give you Office on those devices.
Yes. Okay, Damien. So getting to market sooner.
So I put getting to market sooner there because often we get trapped up by needing to be professional first, needing to have all that infrastructure there. And what that often requires is placing orders, waiting for things to arrive, putting it out, and getting someone to help me deploy all this wonderful stuff. Yes. And it's taken 6 weeks, and my great idea I had 6 weeks ago is now feeling like a labor of love.
Right, right.
And so with something like Office 365, I can literally log on now, and 15 minutes later, I can have brought my domain in, I can start my email service, I can do all that wonderful stuff. And so it takes out all the fuss, and it allows you just to go to market and do what you want to do.
That is very powerful, because when we work with SMEs, and very often when we mentor them, there's this thing called SME procrastination. So because of the fear of going, you actually would find any possible reason to procrastinate not to go, right? So this get to market sooner is really powerful. So basically what Damien's telling us is that Office 365 technology should not be a deterrent. It should not take long. It doesn't.
Absolutely. It certainly doesn't. And we can certainly get going a lot faster than it would be to order something online and have it delivered and all that wonderful stuff.
Fabulous. You've just killed that as well for us as SMEs. Damien, thank you for that.
No more excuses.
No more excuses, exactly. And then the 24/7 support, is that real?
Absolutely. So I think what is critical to any business, if you're going to trust me, you've got to know that I'm trustworthy.
Yeah.
And so what we offer with all of our Office 365 suites is 24/7 support. where you can log into your admin portal, you can log a ticket, someone will reach out to you, they'll help you through the program. You can get a partner involved if you want, but at any time, day or night, we have the follow the sun scenario that there is always a support service up and running to assist at any point, including weekends and all that wonderful stuff.
Right, fabulous. So just to wrap up on the startup component, so there's low startup costs, there's no excuse for getting going quickly, you have 24/7 support, we can get it on any device we have, we can work with it. I know that there are different pricing models, and we have it on the screen, and for the SMEs, Damien was telling me before the recording that there has not been an increase in a while. This is indicative of where we record today, but just tell us the different products that are available currently.
So, to speak to your earlier point, we've actually never changed that dollar cost since we launched the product. Right? The whole idea of cloud services is not to go up in price, but rather come down.
Okay.
But if we talk about those three specifically, what we have is the three, let's say, suites or bundles that we've created that we think businesses need to start thinking about. And the first one is Business Essentials, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And what Business Essentials is are all the services that we have that I mentioned in my last video of Office 365. Everything that requires just a web browser to go and do something.
Okay.
So that is, web mail, that's things like Office in the web, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that's Skype in the web. It's all the services that you open a web browser, you go to office.com, you sign in, and you have access to your whole business. It includes the 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage. It includes Word, Excel, and PowerPoint in the web browser, email, 50 gig mailbox, all that wonderful stuff. But everything is web-based.
Right.
Then the next one we have is Office 365 Business.
Yes.
And what that is the complete opposite. It's none of those services.
Right.
Because perhaps you're a small business that's been going for a while.
Yes.
And you might have pop email or someone with your ISP, and you don't really want to move that just yet.
Right.
But you want Word, Excel, and PowerPoint for your device. And you want Word, Excel, and PowerPoint in a web browser. And most importantly, you want that storage.
Yes.
So that business suite is essentially Word, Excel, and PowerPoint with the multiple device use rights that we spoke about, 5 PCs, 5 Macs, 5 tablets, and 5 phones.
Right.
And it's the 1 terabyte of cloud storage.
Yeah.
So it gives you that Office on the go experience, Office across multiple devices, access to your documents. And then the last one is Business Premium, where we say we have Business Essentials, we have Business. There are those businesses, and they're more likely most of them, that need both of these. And that's that suite together. So you got the services, you got the Office client individually, but if you want them together, you can buy them together as Business Premium, and you bundle them together as a service.
Okay, fabulous. I've now learned another thing. So that it's basically the Premium is Essentials and Office 365 Business together.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Let's talk scale up. Now, it's any SME's dream to get to a point of scale up where you actually dream either of exiting and going to live on an island, or exiting and
we all dream of that.
SME or not, exactly. Or you get equity partners in to help you carry the load of the responsibility, etc. So scale up is now at a very bigger, it's much bigger. And again, we're talking about the lower startup cost, the simplify IT management, but I want to talk about the enterprise functionality specifically here. Can you help us?
Sure, absolutely. So the distinguish we make inside of Microsoft is at the 300 user mark, right? Anything smaller than 300, we say, that's business, which means we're going to have a lot of scale-up customers in that experience as well.
Yes.
But some of those scale-up customers are going to be requiring some of the more compliance and policies and procedures kind of stuff, because they're starting to deal with bigger organizations.
Yes.
They're starting to deal with perhaps government or parastatal organizations that require more of that security, more of that focus. And so we start to talk around what we have with our enterprise SKUs. Now, we start off with all that basic functionality because it's still there, right? We're not moving away from it. But we start to think about how do we do things slightly differently, and how do we start to add features to that rather than take it away. And so you'll see on the different suites that we have things like Office 365 Pro Plus, E1, E3, E5, and the E stands for enterprise. But the E doesn't mean enterprise. To me, the E means everybody. Because it's not about the size of your business, it's about what your business needs. Requires. And so I think on the right, I built out another slide that will slightly come in just to override the kind of the business and all that wonderful stuff. But we start to think about things like unlimited archiving.
Yeah.
You know, I need to keep my mail for as long as possible for every customer, as long as I engage them.
Yeah.
That's what we get inside of the enterprise plans, the ability to unlimited archive.
Okay.
I need to make sure that my mailboxes are tamper-proof, that no one could have deleted a mail and I've lost something because I might need to create a case and take it to court and do all this wonderful stuff. That's what we can do in the enterprise. You know, I need to do advanced things in SharePoint like Visio dashboards and Excel dashboards and all these wonderful tricks that as businesses grow, they start to realize there are new ways to do things, or you need to present data in different ways.
Okay.
And that's what we start to look at.
I like very much the differentiation you've made that E is actually not for enterprise, but it is where the needs of the business are. So the different suites or
I have
bundles.
businesses that are 3 people that run E5 across the board because they've identified something in E5 that makes sense to them. But then I have businesses who are 300 that run business premium because they don't want the unlimited archive. They don't want that extra security. Their business doesn't require it for them, and so they've chosen not to invest in that.
And it speaks to that focus on what matters to you point that you've raised there. Is there anything else we need to talk about on the scale-up specifically that you want to mention before we go into the different product suites?
So I think the most important thing around a scale-up scenario and what we consider in Office 365 is the ability to grow from a startup and become a scale-up. Right? So I might start with 5 business premiums today. And in a year's time, I might be 100 business premiums. And then hopefully somewhere my business has now reached that magical number of 300 to Microsoft. What do I do? Do I have to shut it down and start again? Absolutely not. We transition, we move across, we start to invest in different. And so what I really like about Office 365 is the ability to start at point A, finish at point Z, but know that during that journey, you were able to use the services that you want at any time and whatever service that you need at that time.
I absolutely love that. So talk to us briefly about the difference between Pro Plus, Enterprise E1, E3 and E5.
So we'll start with Pro Plus. And as I mentioned business in the last one, so Office 365 business. Office 365 Pro Plus is our enterprise or top of the range Office client for the desktop. So it has Word, it has Excel, it has PowerPoint, it has all those wonderful things. But unlike the business suite, we add more advanced technology into the suite. So for instance, with these Word, Excel, and PowerPoint clients, we can now save directly into SharePoint. So you can't do that with the business suite, but we can do that with this one. We can use things like rights management services directly in those documents, which is the ability to lock down a document based on who I am and all that wonderful stuff. But it also includes things like Access. People ask where it is. It's included in Access. So 365 Pro Plus comes with that. And then also the Skype desktop client comes with that. Because that Pro Plus client has the ability at a later stage to integrate into things like PBX. So you want a fully fledged dial-in client for that scenario. But just like our business, it also comes with the 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage for the user.
And then E135?
So E1 is very similar to Business Essentials. But what it doesn't have is that 300 user hard limit. It's available across the board. It's available from 1 user through to 20,000 users. We don't mind, even above 20,000 users. And essentially what it is, it's Exchange or rather email, document storage, calendaring, all that wonderful stuff, bundled together the services. Essentially it's Business Essentials, but without the limitations of the 300.
Got it.
Then E3, you're going to follow the trend here. It's Pro Plus plus E1. But we start to think about adding some other, let's call them funky stuff. So like the unlimited archive is then added to E3. What we call litigation and legal hold is added to E3. Rights management services is included in E3. So what I haven't mentioned is everything in Office 365, to add to some confusion, is also available as standalone things. So you can go buy Exchange Online or SharePoint Online, Plan 1, Plan 2. And so when we start to talk E3, we start to include all the advanced functionality that is there to make sure that that's the suite that you need. And then recently, during the course of last year, we introduced E5. And when we thought about E5, we thought about 3 specific areas that we wanted to grow in. So we wanted to grow in our collaboration and our Skype experience. So we started to add 3 new features in Skype. The first one is Cloud PBX, which is the ability to move the core control from your on-premise PBX into the cloud. Then we invested in PSTN conferencing. So that is the ability to, instead of having to go to another provider, buy a user cost, and you simply get it up and running, get a publisher number, and have full-fledged conferences. And then the third one, which is not quite available in South Africa just yet, is PSTN calling. And that's that feature I spoke about earlier about being able to phone a PBX directly from that experience. And we've still got some really cool stuff coming down the line, and we'll make another video when it comes around to that.
Fantastic.
Then the next thing we talked around is around the security side of that. And so the security built into Office 365 is already great, but we want to start thinking about how do we take it one step further.
Right.
And so we invested in things like ATP, which is Advanced Threat Protection.
Yes.
And simply that introduces the ability to prevent against things like zero-day threats or ransomware or all these things that are starting to, you know, if you're a born in the cloud customer, you're exposed to this kind of stuff. So with ATP, we do something called safe links, and we do safe attachments. That says if someone sends you an attachment that has ransomware, you know, first open it in like a little virtual box to make sure it's safe, and then present it to the computer. And from a link perspective, take it to a safe place first to make sure that link is not malicious or anything, and then direct it. And then on top of that security, we also did advanced security management, which simply says what's happening inside of my Office 365 environment. If Damien today is accessing his files from Johannesburg, but tomorrow he's accessing from Russia, was there enough time for him to fly there and do everything and do it? So give you that advanced thing. And then the very last portion was around data and analytics and insights. And so we introduced 2 new features. Power BI we mentioned in my previous video, that's now bolted in and included in the suite. And the second one is something called My Analytics. And essentially My Analytics helps you understand how you're spending your time as a business or as a user in that business or as an SME or whatever, to say, how much time am I spending in meetings? When I'm in meetings, what am I doing? Am I focused on the meetings? Am I emailing other people? Because remember, we're using all the services that are coming out of Office 365, which means I have all the insights that I need access to gauge on this kind of stuff. So I can see that when Damien's in a meeting, you know, he's sending emails, he's chatting on Skype, he's doing all this wonderful stuff. Is he really focused on his meeting? So a great way to understand how I'm spending my day, how I'm connected to the other people in the business. It's My Analytics, a great thing. You should have a look at it to understand your day.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's powerful in terms of measuring productivity, etc., etc.
Absolutely. It's a great experience for kind of one-on-one mentoring, right? If we're sitting down as a small business and I see that I'm spending 40 hours a week in meetings, I'm doing 30 hours after hours, I mean, that's the realistic experience that we have in the SME world. But how am I spending that time? Am I really spending it the way I need to be spending it?
Damien, as always, an absolute pleasure to have you in studio. There's some resources that you wanted to refer the SMEs to.
So what we have is obviously office.com. There is office.com/business and there's /enterprise that'll take you to those specific plans, the business ones and the enterprise ones. Then the Microsoft CIE.com that I mentioned. And that's really around, so I've spoken about it, I mean, what does it look like? How does it work? And that CIE experience will allow you to virtually engage and watch a day in the life of a Microsoft employee, what we go through from interacting with our mail to Skype to having conferences to using Power BI, all these wonderful things, and give you just a glimpse of what that might look like. And then the last one, which is my favorite, is our Fast Track portal. And that simply says, whether I'm a startup or a scale-up, I'm going to need help with my Office 365 engagement. Whether I choose to bring in a partner or whether I choose to use that portal and use things like the deployment plans we've included just to help you plan your Office 365 journey. That's what the Fast Track portal will give you.
Fantastic. We hope really that you've enjoyed it as much as I have. It's been fascinating to learn about Office 365 and what it can do. Make sure to catch the other 2 videos on Office 365 with Damien to get just so much richer in terms of the content that he's described. Looking forward to the next session with you, Damien.
So am I.
Thank you for being in studio. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.